This video is about linking all the data or merge all the data into a big data set file. So after last step, which is import data from the zips, we should have a lot of data sets like this. So for example, this one is for drag. It contains all the the columns for the drag. It has the drag code, and then this columns, whatever. So, and also we're gonna have other columns like this company, for example. So it has different columns. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna use this drag code to merge these files together. Because each file is going to have different columns. So then we're going to merge these columns together according to the drag code. And that's basically what we're going to do here in this step. All right, so that will be in this macro called LinkAllZips. So here are the sub-steps. So the first one is initialize the local variables. The second is to create a subfolder called the database. So this is to hold the target database. So remember, this is our folder. So with the programs, and in the zip files, we already downloaded the zip files. And these zip files, the contents in this zip files has been imported into these data sets, which are saved in the Word directory. And now what we're going to do is that we are going to create a folder called database. Again, so this is the way to use the X command to make a directory called database. And then we're going to assign a library name to that path. And then, so the next one is that we're going to set the library. We've talked about that. And then we're going to create an empty data set to hold the final data set, which is this one. So we're going to have some steps like the create date, the source, whatever. And then we're going to loop for 4 zips. So remember, we have 4 zip names. So we're going to loop that for 4 zips. So, well, we're going to talk about that loop later. But after we loop for all the zips, we should have all the data set ready. And then we're going to save the file into the final data set. And then we're going to clean up the temporary file. But that's basically how it works out. Now, briefly about this loop. So what are we going to do within these loops? So again, we're going to have the sub-steps. So in this sub-steps, I'll just collapse and expand that one by one. So the first thing in this loops, the first thing is that we're going to define the surface and the zip name. So the zip name, whether it is a null or AP or DR, whatever. So to define the suffix of the zip names. Which will be this part. And after that, we're going to run a macro called a make drag code list. All right, so we're going to talk about that macro later. So after that, we're going to run another macro called the link files in a zip. All right. So what does this part do? And basically, this part is going to have from all the files to have all the drag codes and make a distinct list of the drag codes. So that's this macro. That's what this macro is going to do. And after that, we're going to link the files in a zip. So remember, we are within the loop of one zip file. So we're going to pick up one zip file and link all the files in that zip file. Okay, so the next is that we're going to have a a step that if for this zip file there is no suffix, so we're going to add a suffix and call that MK, standing for marketed. All right. And then we're going to, well, after that step, we're going to have a temporary file, and we're going to put a stamp for example, the source, which is the suffix, which is either it is marketed or inactive or dormant, whatever. So these are the source, and then we're going to add a create date there. So with that, then we're going to append that temporary data set into the final database. So after the for loops, we're going to add 4 files into this final database. And the last is, well, I've said that it's to append the target into the database. So basically, that's what we're going to do in this macro called the LinkAllZips. So we're going to talk about the two nested macros in separate videos.